All right, well, we're live. I'm Marissa Holiday, and I am joined by the producer and founder of the Indian Wells Arts Festival, Dianne Funk, a very lovely woman. This will be the 13th annual Indian Wells Arts Festival, and we're very excited to have some special guests with us today. They're celebrated artists, favorites at the festival. You can find their work across the country in galleries, museums, private collections alike. They are known for their bold use of color and absolutely wonderful, wonderful depictions of nature around us. Dianne, you want to tell us a little bit more about our guests today?
Well, basically, our guests today are both poster artists. We have a commemorative print that we have every year, and basically, our commemorative prints are something that our buyers can take away from the festival, take a little souvenir, affordable, with them back home. Snake Jagger was a poster artist a few years ago, and Erin Hanson is our current poster artist. Erin is actually a very, very well celebrated artist. People love the work that she does. She has very, very bold color, a wonderful style, huge pieces of artwork. She's been painting since she was a young child, I think probably 2 or 3 or 4, as all artists begin their life. And she's been actually with us at the Indian Wells Arts Festival since 2012. She was selected to be our poster artist for this year. And what we do with her beautiful artwork is we turn it into a print, we use it for our branding, we put it into our ads, and it's kind of a fun way to promote a particular artist for a particular year. Her work right now is it's 60 by 40. It's called Indian Wells in Bloom, and it's not the piece that's behind her. We're actually going to unveil it this coming week at the City of Indian Wells City Council meeting. The mayor will actually come and unveil it, and Erin is even coming down from Glendale to Palm Desert and Indian Wells to join us for that. Erin, take it away.
Thanks, Dianne. I'm looking forward to next week. That'll be a lot of fun.
Erin actually has a secret, and she's actually formally trained from UC Berkeley, and she was actually studying to be a bioengineer. Her background is microbiology and calculus, and some very, very interesting aspects to her background, and how she turned actually from being so scientific to being so artistic. A lot of people don't think that those things go hand in hand, but obviously from the work that we'll be seeing with Erin, we can tell that there is some type of partnership there for sure.
There is definitely a connection with science and art. You know, there's a lot of math and color theory that goes into planning out a painting, and I like to think I stay pretty organized when I paint. You know, I pre-mix my entire palette using only a couple colors. I plan out my a mathematical movement to the painting that will draw you in and keep you interested and continue to look at the same piece. And once I get all the science out of the way, then I get to use the other half of my brain and be my artist side and just have a lot of fun with the color and the brush strokes. And I don't have to worry then and think about all the hard work and planning that goes into painting, and I can just concentrate on the brush strokes and the building up a sense of excitement within the painting.
That is fascinating. I saw on Facebook you had posted a painting yesterday for Valentine's Day, and someone had commented and said they didn't even realize that there were so many different colors out there. So your formulas actually work quite well to be able to have such an incredible range of color in your palette. That is so fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, if you use actually fewer paintings to start out, fewer colors to start out with on your painting, you get a wider variety of color options, which sounds, you know, anti-intuitive. But if you only put down the primaries and maybe a 1 or 2 other colors, you have the full use of the color wheel, and you can create every color that's within the color wheel. However, if you start using, Payne's gray and, the cobalt blue and all these other like intermediary colors, each one of those is going to gray out your color options and actually muddy up your paint, and you reduce the variety of color that you can actually create. So I always tell new artists, to use as few colors as possible when you're starting out.
So do you get that from your math background more than your creative side, or how did that all come together?
Well, I've been studying art for a long time, and I've experimented in oils for over 20 years, and it's just kind of, I didn't used to paint this way. When I was a kid, I painted more like a traditional oil painter would, with lots of layering and scumbling and scrubbling and, changing and altering. But I always wanted to become like a spontaneous painter, and be able to paint a tree in 3 brushstrokes and have it look perfect. And unfortunately, I discovered that it takes a lot of planning to be spontaneous. And so that's where this developed.
That's incredibly interesting. Thank you. One other poster artist we have with us is Snake Jagger. Snake has been with the Indian Wells Arts Festival since its inception in 2003 and has pretty much made it there every year, has a perfect attendance record. And Snake's piece was Enchanted Desert. He lives up in the high desert of the Coachella Valley. He lives in Morongo Valley, right. Where there's a huge variety of artists who live up there with him. Snake calls himself the whimsical surrealist. And when you see his paintings, you'll know that he likes to put a little something into each one to make us all look deeply into his paintings and come out finding something, some little treasure. However, he also has broadened his palette and his artwork into not only the traditional Snake Jagger work that we're so familiar with, but he also has been experimenting with some modern type of work, both in painting and in found art. So he's doing some assemblage and some all unique and very different work than he has in the past. And the secret that we have on Snake that maybe he'll share a little bit more about is the fact that he does all of these incredible paintings, yet he is colorblind. So maybe Snake, you can tell us a little bit about how this has affected some of your work and how did you figure it all out?
Well, I've been painting since I was about 6. Or not painting, but drawing. I started doing, artwork when I was young. I saw my parents doing it, and it just flipped a switch in my head, and then I started. I paint a little differently than Erin does. I'm a little intimidated sometimes with colors because I have a hard time distinguishing between brown and green, or blue and purple, or blue and gray. I get a little confused, and I'm not sure what I'm seeing. So I tend to use, I have a limited palette really, but I don't mix things up very much. Now I'm talking about my traditional work. It's usually right out of the tube and very little mixing of colors because then I lose it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm seeing. So I got to stick with basic colors to do my desert landscapes. Recently I've started doing abstracts, which is very freeing and yet also intimidating because I'm mixing colors doing the abstract. I also don't work with oils because they take too long to dry. I need things to dry up quickly so that I can put a coat over and then layer over that. But doing the abstracts now, I'm mixing colors, but I'm still kind of staying in my range of what I know. And it's fun to see what happens, but if I'm not sure of what I'm seeing, then I'm a little, it bugs me. So I kind of stick again to whatever comes out of the tubes. I have to read the tube sometimes just to make sure I'm picking up brown and not green, or blue and not purple, or aqua or something. So, but yet I've made it work for me and for the type of work that I do, and people have come to they've gotten used to my traditional look. but I'm having a good time trying to do some new things too, because for 35, 40 years I've been doing the traditional stuff, and I just feel like I need to stretch out a little bit and try new things. And being up in the high desert, I see that people up here, they really appreciate things that are, well, it's like junk turned into art. I mean, there's found objects, and they make it into art, and I just really think that that's cool and fun. And you go outside in the desert, it's like a treasure hunt. Try to find stuff that might become useful and turn it into art, you know. So that's been a fun new thing that I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it so that I get better at it. And the same with the abstracts. I'm going to keep experimenting and seeing what happens, you know, because with abstracts, it's kind of just happens. It's hard to plan it. You kind of let it happen, you know.
Can you take your tablet and kind of scan and show people? Your traditional is right behind you, and then well, actually, I think you have some samples of your abstract as well, and maybe you can show your stockpile of your found objects.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to turn the camera around if I could do that here. Okay, now I'm not sure what you guys are seeing. Can you see? Okay, here we go. Now this here, this is very glossy, so I'm getting a sheen on there. But this is kind of a traditional painting of mine, but yet in a looser style. I'm also trying to do some paintings that are a little looser than my traditional work. This here, let's see, I'll put this here. Now this here, can you see that night scene? Let's see, where am I here? Oh, there it is. See, that's more tight. So that's my traditional type of stuff that I do. And then this one up here is a bit looser. And then I'm going to walk over to my abstracts. Here's one that I just finished recently here. And it has, in the middle, it has some found objects. So that was, I like the way it turned out. I'm happy with that. And just this morning, I've been dying to get back to doing abstracts, because even though I have all these commissions I should be working on, it's just like it's in me and it's got to come out. I just have to do it. So this morning I got these 3 small canvases that have the holes in the middle, and I just started putting the paint down. This is all basically a bottom coat, because I'll go over it. I'm letting the clear coat dry right now. I'll go over that. And then when I'm done, I'll paint the middle part black, and then I will add in the found objects from my, well, it's for the people up here in the high desert, this is a tiny little collection of found objects, because there are people up here whose whole house and yards and everything is filled with stuff like this. So there is a huge appreciation for rust up here, and I'm really getting into that. It's a lot of fun, you know. So let me hear, down here is another piece. It's kind of sideways. There's a traditional snake Jagger type of piece. That's one that I'm working on also. So I've got a lot of stuff I'm doing, and
very cool.
Yes,
very cool. Hey, I was wondering, Erin, can you like turn your cameras around and show us a little bit what you have going on in your studio?
Sure. Let's see. So
we love your blue wall, of course.
I had this little. I opened up a little gallery in Glendale. It's not fully set up right now because I'm you know, I do a lot of art festivals on the weekends, so I like to just keep my gallery open for open houses. But you can see I framed the work in here, and then so you can see there's nothing on the walls right now. I just came back from a festival, but I do like. Then in this other room I have some paintings and some smaller ones on the wall, and then I work in here. So this is a painting I just started. And I'm actually, so this is my palette. So I'm trying to see the camera here. So you can see I'm mixing this from 3 colors, kind of an orange and a reddish purple, and then a blue that I created. And so these are my sky colors, and my composition is all planned out ahead of time here on this canvas, so that I'll know exactly when I'm done, before I actually start painting, I will know exactly where every tiny piece of color is going to go on the finished painting before I actually pick up a paintbrush. And I'm working on this. These are the some photos I took in La Jolla that are going to be inspiring this painting. That's my gallery. Oh, and then this is my favorite part back here is all my shipping area, and these are all my drying racks. I have a lot of drying racks. And
hey, Erin,
there's my cat.
Can you give us just a quick still shot of your shipping area and your work area?
Sure. Let's see. It's hard to see what the camera's pointing at. Okay, so
there we go.
I must say that we take the original painting and we actually ship it to our printer who's in Las Vegas. Now, mind you, we're talking about a 60 by 40 inch painting that Erin perfectly, wonderfully packed up and shipped to Las Vegas, and it went there unharmed and came back to you unharmed. And that is a really, really scary process when you put it in the hands of whatever shipping is going to handle it. We just hope all the time that nothing ever happens to the piece. And it was no big deal. Yeah, I'll ship it, and she got it out, and it was sent.
Yeah, I have all sorts of assorted boxes that have. They have this neat invention where they take a thick piece of plastic and put it inside the box so that like a forklift won't go through it and puncture the painting. So I like using those boxes.
Wow.
I wanted
the painting behind you too.
Oh yeah, this is one of my giant pieces. It's a painting of southern Utah, if you can see it. And I've been experimenting like Snake. It's always fun as an artist to just pick up a new medium and just try something new. So see if I can show you. This is painted over gold leaf. I don't know if you can see the light. There's some of the gold. So the gold leaf is actually shining through the paint. Instead of using a colored underpainting, I actually applied 24 karat gold leaf on the canvas directly before I started painting. So like you saw in the other room, that pink underpainting, instead of it being pink, it was actually gold. And it's just fun. I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. I was inspired by Klimt, his really elaborate gold paintings of women and clothing he does. And I just wanted to see what would happen. And it turned out really, really nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, very cool. I wanted to take this moment to jump in and, number one, remind anybody that's watching us live, and we've got a couple of viewers with us now, if you have any questions throughout our conversation or thoughts that you want to add to it, feel free to submit them via the comment section below the video, and we're keeping an eye on it, and I will make sure that we address it on air and read it for our artists to answer. And then also I want to give a big shout out and props to both of our artists who are very, very innovative, not only in their artwork, but just in the way that they communicate and reach out to art enthusiasts around the world. Today, Erin is joining us on her brand new iPhone 6. I think is it the gold edition too?
It's the extra large 6 Plus, which took me about a week to get used to. And now when I pick up a regular iPhone, it feels like I'm typing in some tiny little phone.
And you are. we are, right?
And Snake, who's joining us and gave us a tour of his studio via his iPad. The other cool thing about Snake is that not only does he have fantastic art, but he's very technically savvy and has an app for that. And you can find his app on Google Play Store and probably iTunes as well, yeah?
Oh, no. Only on Google Play, not on the i thing. I think you can get it on Google Play, yeah.
Yeah. I think, Dianne, did you got the app for your phone, didn't you?
I couldn't download it on the iPhone.
Oh, okay. So
I tried.
Android. It has to work. It works on Android.
Right. It has to be an Android.
All right. So we have two for Team Android here and 2 for Team iPhone. They're all really cool, but I think it's fantastic. In 2015, art is becoming so accessible to everyone. If you have an internet connection, you are now able to view multitudes of art with museums digitizing their collections so that you can just get online and take a look at them, and they actually have composited these amazing 3D modules so that you can not only look at the piece of art, but look underneath it, look behind it, look around it, study it, and I think it's fantastic that both Erin and Snake are as equally innovative on the canvas as they are with their tech as well. So, Erin, tell us a little bit about when you first discovered your love for art. You have a fantastic background, and I'm going to spill the beans a little bit. Erin actually paid for her way through college with her art and began working on paid commissions for, I think it were pet portraits, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
When you were just a little girl.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and your first memory of really being aware that you just loved art.
Well, I think probably it was Monet and Van Gogh that inspired me to want to become an artist, and particularly that painting by Van Gogh of the irises, the blue irises, and it was just so beautiful. And we had some irises in our yard, and I thought they were the most beautiful flower ever. And then there was this painting that made them look even better than real life, and just the way there was all this texture coming off the canvas, and I knew I wanted to get into oil painting. And I was probably 5 or 6 at that point, and then by the time I was 7, I was actually taking classes in oil painting. I went to a little private school, so I had the same art teacher from age 7 until 16 when I graduated high school. So I had the same art teacher kind of mentored me for 10 years and taught me you know all the mediums. I did a lot of life drawing, and then my father told me if I wanted to become a painter, I should do 5 sketches a day. So I would sketch, my hand holding a pencil, drawing itself, holding a hand, holding a pencil, and so forth. And I saw a painting of your snake that's kind of like that, where he's painting on the beach. Yeah, that was neat. So I would do a lot of life sketching to be able to capture form and light with color, with white and black, and then from there moved into color eventually. And I remember actually my first oil painting was a monochromatic oil painting using gray and white and creating shade and form just by using without color, but just by using shadow. And I guess I just kind of kept with it. And I was also a entrepreneurial young person, and I've actually held 2 or 3 jobs ever since the age of 12, and it made sense to me that if I was going to be an artist, I would sell the art, and so I would do a lot of commissions, even like portraits, family portraits, dog portraits. I did a CD album cover when I was about 10, and in addition to babysitting, and then I worked at a mural studio for about 3 or 4 years as a teenager, and that was interesting. I learned a lot about color mixing there. That we were working in acrylics on big 40-foot canvases. And unfortunately, all the adults working there told me not to try to make a living as an artist because it was really hard, and they had all, failed at it. And I just decided that I didn't want to be a failed artist and that I wanted to be a doctor. So I went into pre-med in college and ended up minoring in bioengineering, studying. I wanted to be a scientist, and
look at that cat.
My little cat just won't go away. So, and so after I graduated, I then started a business, just buying and selling stuff on eBay, and I never actually worked in the field of bioengineering. As an undergraduate, I worked for a few professors, but after I graduated, I never got a job in it, And so this business I started allowed me eventually, after about 5 years, to have free time. And that's when I got into painting and rock climbing and just decided, well, now that I don't have to worry about paying my bills so much, I'm going to do what I want to be doing, which is, and always has been, painting. And that's what got me back into it. And I was living in Las Vegas at the time, living with these rock climbers, and I started climbing, and I decided I was going to do one painting every week, just rain or shine, no matter who I was dating or what was going on in my life or what city I was living in. And I've kept with that for 8 years now, one painting a week. And that's made me into a professional artist, just creating a craft and being very diligent and approaching it with, with the same diligence you'd approach any career. Practice makes perfect, and just doing and doing and doing and practicing until it's perfect, and it's just the way that you imagine it in your head.
Very, very cool. And I think, the moral there is, follow your dreams. And it sounds like that's what you did. And even though if at one point that dream wasn't the dream that paid the bills, it was something that you kept at, even just on a personal level, and then were able to, position it into a place where it can help pay the bills. So very cool, very cool.
Right.
What
a beautiful, that was a beautiful story to just take all of that background and wrap that package in a big bow. I mean, it's really fantastic. Nice to hear that.
Yes.
What about Snake? Many people say that Snake is, they think that your work is like Salvador Dali. Now, what do you think about that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's not Dali. I mean, a lot of people they don't know what name to throw out there when they're thinking about surrealism, but it was Rene Magritte that was the biggest influence on me when I was young. Not Dali. His work is different. It's kind of maybe nightmarish or something really out there. Rene Magritte was more of a simple surrealist where you'd see a simple scene. You're looking at a scene with the buildings, and you don't really realize that it's a nighttime scene down there with the buildings, but the sky is daytime, and just like stuff like that, juxtapositions of things that don't belong, that's what really influenced me to start putting those things into my paintings, to put things that were that didn't belong really, so that people would start noticing and looking deeper into each painting to find that thing that it's not supposed to be there, so but he was one of the big influences. There was a guy, Thomas Hart Benton was another artist that really stuck with me in my mind, that MC Escher, Peter Max, growing up, anything Disney, I used to watch a lot of cartoons growing up, so I loved the animation and the colors and stuff like that. I mean, people might think that my paintings seem a little cartoonish. Maybe it's just I was influenced by that kind of look and that thing, but not Dali. I do appreciate Dali's work, but he was not an influence really for me. I like to keep my stuff more light and make it. My intention is to make you smile and to make you think, because what I paint when I do my desert landscapes, it's a manicured desert. So I'm trying to send a message that as human beings, we're responsible for our earth and that we should be taking care of it. And that's kind of my way of putting a little message behind the things that I'm doing, and trying to get people to think that this is this is what we have. We should make it nice and keep it clean. I'm a neat freak. I mean, I even my paints in the back have to all be lined up. Everything has to be in order. The brushes have to be just straight. I'm like Monk. I'm like an artist like Monk. Everything's got to be in its place before I even start. I got to vacuum before I start. It's like that. So it kind of shows in my artwork. Everything is neat, clean, tidy. That's with my traditional stuff.
Well, I'm going to jump in, Snake, with a question actually for both you and Erin. And this question comes from Gordon Crawford, who is one of our winners of a pair of 2015 Indian Wells Arts Festival tickets and an autographed poster from the festival that you did, Snake, in 2010. So Gordon wants to know, what motivation stirs you on, and do you at times just lose yourself in your work?
Go ahead, Erin.
Well, for me, I get my inspiration from the outdoors. I grew up in Los Angeles, so as a kid going camping and backpacking was just the most epic escape from life and this exciting journey, into the wilderness. And so that is what I've always wanted to capture as a painter, are these scenes of the outdoors, captured, while hiking and backpacking. So a lot of my paintings have a trail growing through them, and there's a lot of trees and mountains and lakes. And so for me to get inspired, I go out about 2-3 times a year, all by myself, out into the desert, southern Utah, Colorado, Montana, wherever I'm going, and I just hike and I escape, and I take my van. It has a bed built into it, so I just just drive along all the backcountry roads and just pick up hiking trails. I've been to all the national parks, you know, in the Four Corners area, you know, dozens of times. And you know, every time I go, the lighting is different, the clouds are arranged differently, and the color temperature is different. And so I've actually amassed like something like 10,000 photos over the last decade from my travels, and that's what inspires me. And if I ever feel stultified in any way, I just get in my van and I just leave. I can drive up the coast of California and, you know, see Paso Robles, and that's how I get my inspiration.
And same thing for me. I think nature is huge for me as an inspiration. I take my daily walks. I go out to the preserve and walk through the trees. I have to be around nature. I spent a lot of time living in the mountains in a tent for 5 years. I got to really, my love of the earth just really grew deep, living like that, living on the land. And when you're young and you're a hippie, you can do that kind of thing. But I also get inspiration from movies and TV and music, things like that that stir ideas in my head. You know, if I see something, even thumbing through magazines, it's imagery sometimes that sparks an idea. You know, I take a lot of pictures of nature and things like that I use as references for my paintings, but a lot of it is more in my head, I think, than the actual world outside, because my traditional paintings are, they're not all of them are like a photograph. Most of them are just my vision of what the world kind of should be like. I think of the world as being like a giant golf course where everything is just perfect, you know, and that's just, I get that kind of inspiration. I get lost in my work sometimes. Well, maybe I could say all the time. I work all the time. I think I'm working when I wake up, and then when I'm sleeping, I'm not working. And so it's like, that's kind of how it is. I guess you could call that lost in my work. And my girlfriend has a problem with that sometimes. I don't have enough time for her because I'm so busy working. And, you know, I got to say, I feel very lucky that I am able to do something that I really love to do. I feel like a kid playing with colors, you know. I'm splashing color around, and that's just like, wow. I'm paying the bills, you know. That keeps me going. I could be doing other things to pay the bills, but it just so happens that I'm able to do artwork, and it works for me. So very lucky that I'm able to do that. I know a lot of artists kind of struggle with that, but man, life has been good, and people like my work, and I think that's the other thing that motivates me, is the way people respond to my work, especially kids. You know, I love how kids look at it. I think they really get it. You know, they really they draw right into it, and I enjoy working with kids. So, you know, I think that in my life, if I've inspired one other young person to be an artist, then my life had meaning. And I think that I've done that a few times over, you know, and because I know that there were people, as I was growing up, that I used to look at their work and think, oh my God, I'll never be able to do that. But I soon grew out of that idea, and I realized I can pretty much do just about anything. You know, there's nothing I can't do except for tell you if that's green or brown, you know. So, you know, I do, and thank you, Gordon, for the question. It's a good question.
Yeah, and I think you sort of kind of answered our next ticket winner, Ted Mehrhoffen, and please forgive me if I butchered your name, but I think I said it right. Ted Mehrhoffen also wins a pair of tickets to the 13th Annual Indian Wells Arts Festival and an autographed 2010 commemorative poster by Snake. But he asks, and Erin, you can jump in here, and then Snake, if there's anything you want to add to it, what inspired Erin and Snake to the type of art they're doing now?
Well, for me, I guess it's just that concept of using as few brushstrokes as possible in a very loose style, and to make people really kind of have like a little window of escape, you know, or they can enter another universe, or enter in some memory that they've had, some place that they've been that they loved. A customer of mine just emailed me today. She said it's snowing over on the East Coast, and it's just blizzardy and gray, and she has one of my, you know, California desert paintings hanging there, and it's just like a window into another world and another universe, and it warms her up. And makes her happy every time she sees it, and that's amazing that I could have created that and had that effect on someone. Definitely keeps me going.
What was that question again, Marissa?
Ted Merhoffen asks, what inspired you to the type of art that you're doing now? And so maybe you can tell us what inspired you to move into some of the abstract works that you're doing, because that's kind of a new medium for you, yeah?
Yes, it is, and I'll tell you, it was my hate of abstract. Because I couldn't believe that people could throw paint on a canvas, and I used to think any elephant or a monkey could do the same thing, or a kid could do it. Well, I soon found out that it is so not easy, and to do abstract well is it's something. It's different than what I'm used to, but it just bugged me so much. I just had to try it. I had to throw my hat in there and give it a shot and see if I could do it. I didn't really have any good expectations about it, but I've really come to appreciate abstracts now, having tried it, and I realize it's so not as easy as it looks to make it look good, and to make it look like it's not just thrown on there. You know, I mean, there's a lot of thinking goes into it, and a lot of feeling goes into it, more than when I'm doing my traditional work. It's kind of how the colors make you feel when they're and you put them together in a way, and I don't know, you know, it's hard for me to explain it because I'm really not used to this, but I gotta say I have a deep respect for people who do abstract and do it well, and that's really what motivated me to do that. As far as my traditional work, there was a guy, his name is Noble Richardson. He lives up in the Joshua Tree area, but when I was 17 years old, he used to paint desert landscapes, and he brought these down to a place where I was living in Cathedral City. When I saw his work, it totally blew my mind, and I think he was probably the biggest impact on me, how I developed my desert landscape style. I kind of took off on his thing, you know. I created my own look, but his was huge. It was the bright colors and the way he did, and he also used to do things in shaped canvases. They were not square or rectangle. That I never saw anything like that. I never saw a round canvas or anything like that. And I thought, oh my God, these are that stuck with me big time. So Noble was huge for me in my traditional work. But the abstracts and the assemblage sculptures, when I see other people doing that and being successful at it, I just said, I got to try this. You know, even if I fail, I got to give it a shot, you know, and I have to see if I can do it. And I really want to keep going because it's going to give me another audience. I think the people that are used to my traditional work, they don't go for this abstract thing. They don't, you know, me throwing paint around isn't what they're used to. They want me to be tight, you know, doing this little tight stuff, you know, but to be going, and I get to now put my thumb up and go, you know, never knew what that thumb thing was for, and I still don't really, but I can do that now. I don't have to. On my traditional work, it's very tight, but on the abstracts, I'm talking on the phone, throwing paint. I'm cleaning the house, throwing paint. You know, it's a very freeing feeling, and I really enjoy that, and I'm having fun with it, and I think I like what I'm doing. So, you know, if I didn't, I wouldn't keep doing it.
Very cool. I've got one more audience question specifically for you, Snake, and then I'm gonna throw the mic over to Dianne and Erin. Douglas Mueller asks, he states and then asks, most people don't know you had a famous father. What is your fondest memory of your dad?
Oh, I don't. When he gave me some money, and we shared a few whiskeys together. Let me think. I don't know. I love my dad growing up. He wasn't famous, but he worked for Frank Sinatra for 15 years. So I think maybe now that I think about it, my fondest memories were when I used to go visit him at Sinatra's house. And I got to say that doing that and being at Sinatra's house, the few different houses that he had in LA and here in the desert, I think that was another huge influence on me. It was the manicured landscape that Sinatra had around his compound that really stuck in my head. I used to go sit out there with a sketch pad and draw The cactus was just in the right place. There was a big rock right next to it. And my paintings are all basically a mirror of that experience, seeing the neatness and the tidiness. I think that whole exposure to how people live, how people like Sinatra live, was big in my formative years. I became like that. I wanted to live that way. I wanted to be neat and tidy, but so I really think that those were some fond memories. I can't really pick out any particular fond memory, and my dad wasn't famous. He was just Sinatra's valet. But I appreciate the question from my friend Doug, who is out there in Costa Rica. I hope you're listening, Doug. And good to hear.
I was asking Doug. I sent him a little message asking him if he would be in town. We actually have a couple of Indian Wells Arts Festival folks who are in Costa Rica, enjoying that wonderful climate down there. And so we hope that he can make it out. We have tickets for him as well as an autograph poster from you, his buddy. So thank you, Douglas, for that question. And I'm going to turn it over to Dianne.
Well, I have a question for Erin. And that is, how do you enjoy coming to the Indian Wells Arts Festival? Number one, what is your feeling about the festival, and what do you feel about the role you have taken with creating the poster for this year's event? You have so many incredible paintings on your website. You have been everywhere, and there's just a little bit of everything in every place, which is so lovely. You captured some of our desert. What was that like?
It was great. I lived in the Mojave Desert for a while when I was growing up in Palmdale, and we lived right on the edge of the city. It was still growing. Like every few months, there'd be a whole new housing development spreading out. I guess eastwards. And so I would take my dog, my German Shepherd, and we'd go out every night and hike just by moonlight among all the Joshua trees, and I'd collect little bones that I'd find, and that was my escape. And so I've always loved the desert and Joshua Tree. And here in the Coachella Valley, with all the ocotillos that bloom, and in Borrego Springs, and then there's wildflowers everywhere that I didn't see very much living out in the Mojave Desert out there, but in the Coachella Valley, there's flowers everywhere. And I remember last year at the Indian Wells Festival, every time I'd leave my van, I'd be stopping all the other artists, because I'd be stopping and breaking and taking all these photos on my iPhone as I'm like leaving, because it's always right as the sun is going down and all the mountains are all lit up with these beautiful oranges and pinks, and it looks different every single day. And I'll see a flower that wasn't blooming the day before, and and there's that little hill right as you're exiting the festival with it's covered with like beautiful shrubbery that catches the light, and with the mountains just behind, and then all these palm trees, and it's beautiful. I love painting the desert. I've probably painted more paintings of California desert than anywhere else in the U.S. And it's the landscape itself is kind of beige during noon time light, but as soon as that light starts getting close to the horizon, either morning or like late afternoon, it just turns to a rainbow of colors. A Joshua Tree, the granite rock, is flat white at midday, and then when the sun goes down, they turn like rainbow sherbet colors, and it's the epitome of what has brought me into painting landscape paintings, is this kind of saturated color that you just don't see anywhere else. And the desert light is so clear and dry, and so it makes the light look very different than what I'm used to growing up in Los Angeles. The light's very different in LA. It's kind of muggy and hazy, and everything kind of blurs together. But the desert is very crisp, and the color lines are very clear and easy to paint.
Well, it's been a delight working with you, Erin, and with you, Snake, putting together something that is so memorable for our show, and something that people can go and buy and purchase, and as Erin said, to bring a little bit of the desert into their home, into their heart. And I look forward to seeing you, Erin, this week, and maybe we can even take a jaunt up to visit Snake.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come on up. Love to see you. Yeah. Yeah.
We did have one more ticket winner with a question from Helena Biga. I hope I said her name right. And she wanted to know where most of your influence comes from. And I feel like we've sort of answered that all throughout our conversation today. But to both of our artists, if there's anything else you wanted to add on to, where you're currently finding some of your influence, whether it be from another artist, or even if you want to tell us who you have hanging on your own personal walls, I think that would be great to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say real quickly that lately I'm getting a new influence by going up to Joshua Tree. All these years that I lived down in the lower desert, I'd go up to Joshua Tree once every 5 or 6 years maybe. I don't know why I didn't really spend a lot of time up there, but lately I got to tell you, I've been going crazy taking pictures of those rocks and they're changing colors. I got a whole nother batch of stuff to do now that doing this Joshua Tree's scenery. It's just been great. It's a fantastic, and I just, it's like today is an incredibly beautiful day, and I really wish I could get out and go hiking and be, before it gets too hot and get up there. I need to do that, but I just got a lot of work that I'm doing, so I could hardly tear myself away. But the Joshua Tree National Park is a new huge inspiration for me, and as I'm sure it was for Erin when she was here. It's a beautiful landscape. It really is. It's otherworldly.
Yeah, it's been raining this year finally, so I bet all the Joshua trees are starting to bloom. They get these like bird of paradise looking flowers that come out of the tops that are so interesting. They're so fun to paint.
It's going to be a good wildflower year, I think.
Yeah.
Borrego Springs should be awesome.
Oh yeah, it should be, definitely. Yeah, I'm the same way, Snake. Whenever I go out traveling, like this year I spent a week. I drove out to Colorado and southern Utah just as the aspens were changing color, and I went on my internet and I tracked where the colors were changing, because sometimes they only last a couple days, and then the temperature will change or a wind will come through and the aspens will drop all their leaves. So I was tracking the aspens, and I spent about 4 or 5 days doing this, driving around like a mad person in my van through this, this huge countryside. And I got home and I had so many paintings that I needed to paint immediately, right then, and it's just there's no possible way to get it all done. I probably had my next 50 paintings planned out right now if I could just sit and paint. And then, like Snake, there's commissions that I have to do. There's planning for shows, and there's all the other work that comes in. And that's just one thing I did this year. I also went through the Cascades in Oregon this year. I saw Smith Rock. I went to Montana and hiked through Glacier. And in each one, I've only had a chance to really paint like one painting of each area. And that's just one. I print out my photos when I get back, just as a guideline. I'm not a photographic painter, but I like to have a photo to kind of remind me of what it was like. And I have a stack about this big, about 6 inches of paintings that I would like to get done today. You know what I mean? But there's just no way to get it all done.
Well, I know I can speak for everyone when I say that we all really appreciate both of your amazing ability to capture what we see in our daily lives, but to capture it in a manner that allows us to have it every day whenever we want to look at it and feel the warmth of those colors or the inspiration from that vista. So I appreciate you both for doing that and for finding the time to paint, whether it's once a week or once a day or 5 sketches a week. We certainly all enjoy and appreciate it very much. And for those of you watching, if you want to take a look at Erin's art and get to know her a little better, she has a fantastic website at erinhanson.com. You can also find her on Facebook under the same name. Make sure you download Snake's app if you're an Android person. And then you can also find him online and peruse his art at snakejagger.com, and then you can find him on Facebook as well at Snake Jagger Studios. Also, if you are interested in looking at some of the posters and the official artwork of the Indian Wells Arts Festival over its 13-year history, you can go to IndianWellsArtsFestival.com or even on our Facebook page at the same name and flip through the store, and you'll find all the poster work there. Some of the poster work has a little bit of background information with the imagery of the artists as they're completing their wonderful works in progress. So definitely check out Erin Hanson at ErinHanson.com and Snake Jagger at SnakeJagger.com, and be sure to come by to the festival to see them and meet them in person.
I just want to add that Erin's poster will be in our store online, not until Thursday when we do the unveiling.
Yes.
Everybody will just be blown away. It's so gorgeous. Thank you.
That's right. We've been given little sneak peeks every Friday on the Facebook page, and it's been really fun to watch your creation develop. I, of course, have already gotten the ultimate sneak peek, and I've seen the painting, and it is absolutely stunning. And you're so right, both of you, when you say that there's something about the colors and the light in the desert that you just don't see anywhere else. And this original painting is 60 by 40, right?
That's right.
Actually, it captures it fantastically. So there is a huge unveiling with the mayor of City of Indian Wells, and that will happen on Thursday. And once that happens, we'll share the artwork online with everybody else as well. But you guys are both fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. Dianne, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I want to say thank you to you. Thanks, Marissa, for all that you do. Marissa's actually in Oklahoma, so we're all in different parts of the country, and you have just done a fabulous job. I want to extend my thanks to you for putting all this together.
That's great. Thank you both to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Nothing less than my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. Thank you for watching us. We'll be back in just a couple of weeks with another podcast, and we hope you'll join us then. Until now, we look forward to seeing you at the Indian Wells Arts Festival 13th Annual in April.
Bye.